I didn't argue. That's the part people never understand. When my sister-in-law started planning her anniversary dinner, I already knew how it would end. Not because I was psychic, because I'd seen the pattern too many times. It always started the same way: a casual suggestion, a subtle expectation, then a quiet assumption, and finally, a public moment designed to trap me. 3 weeks before the dinner, she called. Her voice was light, polished, sweet in that very specific way that always meant something else was underneath. "We're planning something special for our anniversary," she said. "Just close family, elegant, intimate." I leaned back slightly, phone against my ear. "Sounds nice." There was a pause. Then, "You always have such good taste with these things. I thought maybe you could help organize?" There it was, the opening move. I smiled faintly. "I'm sure you've got it covered." Another pause, longer this time. "Of course, I just thought, since your business has been doing so well." She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. I'd heard the rest of it 100 times before. "You can afford it." My husband, Daniel, was sitting across from me when I hung up. He didn't need to ask. "She called, didn't she?" I nodded. "What does she want this time?" I shrugged. "The usual." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "You don't have to go, you know." I looked at him, calm. "I know." But we both understood something unspoken. Not going would become its own kind of story. One that would be repeated, reshaped, exaggerated. "She thinks she's better than us. She's too good for family now. Money changed her." No, I preferred something else. Clarity. The dinner was booked at a place I'd only been to once. A private restaurant tucked behind mirrored glass and quiet discretion. No menus, no visible prices. Everything curated. Everything assumed. Which made it perfect. The morning of the dinner, I stood in front of my closet longer than usual. Not because I didn't know what to wear, but because I knew exactly what I was walking into. I chose something simple, elegant, unremarkable at first glance. The kind of presence that doesn't demand attention, but doesn't disappear either. Then I picked up my clutch, opened it, and looked at the cards inside. That's when I made the decision. Not emotional, not reactive, just precise. I removed my primary card, the one everyone expected, and replaced it with another. Same brand, same color, same weight. Different limits, different permissions, different outcome. I closed the clutch, and that was it. No second thoughts. When we arrived, the restaurant was already glowing with soft, deliberate light. Everything was perfect. Of course it was. My sister-in-law, Elena, stood near the entrance, greeting guests like she owned the place. She spotted us immediately. Her smile widened. Too quickly. Too brightly. "You made it!" She stepped forward and hugged me lightly, her perfume lingering just a second too long. Then she pulled back and looked me up and down. "You look understated." I smiled. "Thank you." She turned to Daniel. "You must be proud." He didn't respond, just nodded politely. Inside, the table was already set. Long, impressive. Every detail curated for visibility. This wasn't a dinner. It was a stage. And everyone had their role. I took my seat quietly, watched, listened. The conversations flowed, but they weren't conversations. They were performances. Subtle comparisons, carefully placed compliments, strategic mentions of success. And woven through all of it, glances toward me. Always toward me. Halfway through the evening, Elena raised her glass. The room quieted instantly. She had always been good at that. "I just want to say how grateful I am," she began. Her voice carried easily, confident, measured. To have such an incredible family, such support, such generosity. She paused, let the words settle. Then her eyes found mine. Especially from those who understand what it means to give. There it was, the shift. Subtle, but unmistakable. A few people glanced at me. Others avoided it. Daniel's jaw tightened slightly beside me. I placed my hand gently over his. A quiet signal. Not yet. The courses continued, each one more elaborate than the last, each one adding to something that wasn't just a meal anymore. It was a number. Growing. Unspoken, but understood. I didn't ask for prices. No one did. That would have broken the illusion. Then came the moment. The final course had been cleared, the wine glasses refilled. The room settled into that quiet anticipation that only happens when everyone knows something is about to happen. The manager approached the table, discreet, professional, and placed a leather folder in front of Elena. She didn't open it immediately. Of course she didn't. That would have been too simple. Instead, she looked around the table, smiling. Before we finish the evening, I just want to do something special. I felt Daniel's hand shift slightly under mine. Tension, contained, controlled. Elena finally opened the folder. Her eyes scanned the page, and for just a fraction of a second, something flickered. Then it was gone, replaced by something else, something brighter, louder. 265,000. She said it clearly so everyone could hear. The number hung in the air, heavy, impressive, unavoidable. A few gasps, some impressed murmurs. Exactly the reaction she wanted. Then she turned to me. But tonight, we're not worrying about that. A pause, a smile, sharp. Because someone here believes in generosity. The room shifted, attention narrowed, focused on me. She leaned back slightly. You don't mind, do you? It wasn't a question. It was a performance, a trap built on expectation, history, pattern. Every time before, I had paid. Quietly, without a scene, without a correction, because it was easier, because it kept the peace, because it avoided this exact moment. But tonight, I didn't move immediately. I let the silence stretch. Not uncomfortably, just enough. Then I reached for my clutch, opened it slowly, deliberately. Every movement visible, every second counted. I took out the card, placed it gently on the table, and slid it toward the manager. Of course, I said calmly. Elena's smile widened, relief, victory, confirmation of everything she believed. The manager nodded politely, took the card, and walked away. The room relaxed, just slightly. Conversations resumed, quieter now, satisfied, predictable. Daniel leaned toward me. Are you sure? I didn't look at him. Yes, because I was. Minutes passed, not many, but enough. Then the manager returned. Same posture, same calm expression. But something was different, subtle, barely visible. He leaned slightly toward Elena, spoke quietly. Too quietly for most to hear, but I heard it. There seems to be an issue with the card. The room stilled again, not dramatically, but enough. Elena blinked. What do you mean? The manager kept his voice measured. The card was declined. Silence, not loud, not explosive, just complete. Elena's smile didn't disappear, not immediately. It froze, held in place by disbelief. That's not possible. She turned to me, expecting something. An explanation, a correction, a recovery. I met her gaze, calm, neutral. Is something wrong? The shift was immediate, subtle but undeniable. The dynamic had changed, just slightly, just enough. Elena laughed, a little too quickly. There must be some mistake. She waved her hand dismissively. Try it again. The manager nodded, left, returned. Same result. I'm afraid it's still not going through. Now the room was different. People weren't just watching. They were calculating, reassessing. Elena's confidence began to thin, barely but visibly. She turned to me again, this time less certain. Maybe you brought the wrong card. I tilted my head slightly. No, this is the one I intended to use. A pause, then, it has limits. The words were simple, but they landed, hard. Elena's expression shifted, confusion, then something sharper. What kind of limits? I leaned back slightly, composed. The kind that prevent assumptions. Silence deepened, heavier now, less comfortable, more real. Elena's hands tightened on the table. This isn't funny. I agree. Another pause. It wasn't meant to be. She looked around the table, searching for support. But something had changed. People weren't leaning toward her anymore. They were leaning away. Not physically, but socially, subtly. The balance had shifted. Then I did something unexpected. I reached into my clutch again, pulled out another envelope, thin, simple, and placed it in front of her. This is for you. Her eyes dropped to it, suspicious. What is this? Open it. She hesitated, then did. Inside was a document, structured, clear, official. Her eyes moved across the page, faster, then slower, then stopped. Her face changed, not dramatically, but completely. What is this? I held her gaze. It's the truth you've been ignoring. She looked up at me, confusion giving way to something else. Understanding. Piece by piece. The restaurant, the management group, the holding company. A pause. All of it. I let the words settle. It's mine. The room didn't react immediately, because it took a second. For the meaning to land. For the connections to form. For the assumptions to collapse. Elena stared at me. You're lying. I shook my head. No. Another pause. I just stopped correcting you. Her eyes dropped back to the document, scanning, rechecking, looking for something to disprove it. There was nothing. I continued, calm, measured. The bill doesn't matter. A glance at the manager, who was now standing quietly, waiting. It never did. Elena's voice dropped, barely steady. Then why? I finished the sentence for her. Why let it get this far? A pause, longer this time. Because some lessons only work when they're seen. The room was completely still now, not out of shock, but because something fundamental had shifted. Not just in the moment, but in how everyone understood everything that came before it. I stood, not abruptly, not dramatically, just done. Daniel followed, silent. As we turned to leave, I paused for just a moment, looked back at the table, at Elena, at everyone, and said the only thing that needed to be said. Next time, ask. We walked out. No one stopped us. No one spoke. No one laughed. Outside, the night felt quieter, cleaner, like something had finally been resolved. Daniel looked at me as we reached the car. You planned all of that. I opened the door, paused, then smiled slightly. Not all of it. Because the truth was, I didn't need to plan everything, just the part they never saw coming. Select now another video in our series of family and company dramas. They are all powerful stories of people coming back stronger after they have been humiliated or hurt by family members or their management. Always make sure you stay strong. Let nobody ever tell you what you are worth. You know the best. Of course.